The Citroen Aircross X is now a much better car, and by magnitudes, and it is the car I'd put my money on. End of story, right? No. I want you all to see how bizarrely better this Citroen is compared to the XL6, while also being considerably cheaper, and I mean cheaper by a huge margin. Like if you look at the top trims of the XL6 and the Aircross X, there's like a 2 lakh rupees price difference. The Aircross X also starts off at a much lower price point thanks to a 1.2 litre 3-cylinder naturally aspirated petrol, which is terribly underpowered, but we are going to leave that out and talk about the top trim automatics and manuals in this comparison. And by the end of this video, if you're still not convinced with the facts or by my presentation to ditch the XL6 and go for the Aircross X, well, I think we can all conclude that the Indian car market continues to be a bit soulless. And with that, let's start off with the external dimensions. And I know what you all are thinking. After so much build up, the Citroen is actually the smaller car here? Well, yes, it is. The XL6 is the larger car and will perhaps have the better third row legroom as well, thanks to its longer wheelbase. The Citroen goes for a wider and sportier stance. And when it comes to external looks, I like what Citroen does. French flair with those rugged outdoorsy curves, compared to an ultra practical minivan with lip fillers trying to make you forget that it's still an Ertiga on the inside. And the wheels. The Aircross X has a more refreshing 4-spoke design and is larger too. Both these cars get a range of monotone and dual tone color options, but the options on the Aircross X feel fresher and classier. The deal is that the XL6 was last updated in 2022 and it is showing its age, especially in front of the Aircross X, which looks flashier and more buff. And despite the Aircross X being the smaller car, I am going to give it this point when it comes to exteriors. Well, neither of these cars get a sunroof, and I know that can be terrible news for you and your kids who'd like to occasionally pop your heads out and have a rendezvous with a solid metal beam. And well, since we're comparing the top trims, the warm dark brown palette on the Aircross X is really attractive and makes for a warm environment to be in. It also gets ambient lighting, and I mean so does the XL6, but I think with the XL6 it's just front footwell lighting. So despite the XL6 also getting a similar feature, it is better executed on the Aircross X. Pair that with the flying carpet or magic carpet effect, the Citroen is the better space and safer space to be in, but more on safety later. The interiors also feel more upmarket thanks to perforated leather on the seats, a leatherette dashboard and a more Euro themed dashboard with vertical AC vents. With the XL6, you get black interiors, but its trump card is captain seats for the second row, which the Aircross doesn't get. But everything else, I'm afraid, is a little bit too utilitarian. The dashboard is hard to the touch and feels like it is from 5 years ago. It's not bad, just a bit dull. Doesn't feel special. Even the infotainment screen, with its thick bezels and smaller screen real estate, looks like it deserves a redesign. Well, having said that, the Aircross X does offer 3 different lean angles for the second row passengers, and even though the Aircross may be better equipped and upholstered on the inside, the XL6 offers slightly better legroom. And because of that, I'm going to award both these cars 1 point each. And that brings us to the all-important question, which car is the better kitted product amongst the two? When it comes to infotainment and connectivity, the Aircross X steps ahead with a digital instrument cluster, a larger touchscreen, and an AI assistant called Cara, and a wireless charger too. But the Aircross X does miss out on a factory-fitted 360-degree camera. You can only go for a dealer-fitted option, and it also lacks paddle shifters. Well, in reality, both these cars are decently well equipped, but the Citroen Aircross X has a few extra features that will help you show off better to your friends and your family. And for that reason, I'm awarding this point to the Citroen Aircross X. Alright, the safety department is where the Aircross X has taken the biggest step forward. It is now a 5-star rated car and was rated by Bharat NCAP. And that should help sales to a good extent, hopefully. The XL6 still doesn't have a safety rating, but otherwise both the cars are equally equipped and neither of them get ADAS or hill descent control. So this point once again goes to the Citroen Aircross. Moving on to practicality, the Aircross X has the better ground clearance number and the shorter wheelbase further helps things out. But it does have a lower boot volume and that is a pitiable 44 liters with all 3 rows up. However, the Aircross has a cleverly designed seating configuration that can be folded down in multiple ways to give you exactly how much space you may need. Both get similarly sized fuel tanks and spare wheels, but with better fuel efficiency on the XL6, the range will be better too on a full tank of fuel. Overall, well, I think the flexible seating configuration on the Aircross X helps it overcome a smaller boot space, and also the 200mm ground clearance gives it an edge over the XL6. Well, don't get me wrong, the XL6 is perfectly practical, but I prefer what Citroen offers. Finally, we are at my favorite part of the technical comparison, and that is engines and drivetrain. Well, the Citroen Aircross X gets a 1.2 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder petrol engine, whereas the Ertiga gets a 1.5 liter 4-cylinder naturally aspirated mild hybrid engine. The Aircross X offers more power and way more torque than the XL6 and even gets a 6-speed manual compared to a 5-speed manual on the XL6. But when it comes to automatics, both these cars get a 6-speed torque converter, and a slight advantage with the XL6 is the availability of paddle shifters, despite actually offering a very commuter-like and non-sporty drive characteristic. Pricing is what actually shocked me, and we're only talking about top trims here. Whether it's the manual or automatic options you're looking for, the Aircross X is cheaper, and the automatic Aircross with more power and features and safety and practicality and the more modern interior is cheaper by nearly 2 lakhs. But either way, I'm going to give this point to the Aircross X, although the Suzuki may be the easier, more reliable product to live with. And as I told you before, the Aircross X is simply the superior car here in terms of all the parameters we spoke about in detail, but the XL6 is the more reliable bet. I'd go for the Aircross X. It's kind of a blind buy for me. But what would you do? Let me know in the comments below, and also please share this video with someone considering buying one of these 2 cars, and I'll see y'all in the next one.